This is Overtime, a weekly moment of off-the-cuff commentary on everything from sports and politics to observations about everyday life from NFL All-Pro Carl Lee. Welcome to Overtime.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Carl Lee, and I'm at our Overtime for Let's Talk. And we have Coach Carpenter and we have Hollis Lewis here. And we're just picking up on some of the conversations we had prior to on Let's Talk, and we skimmed over what I would say is probably a big picture of maybe the whole career. What has impacted Coach Carp's career is, I guess, and we get to use the big word here today on racism as an impact, or how it impacted your career and your ability to see it and call it out, and I guess the consequences of you calling it out. So talk to me a little bit and tell me a little bit about what took place, how did you end up being out of coaching?
It was about the fighting for I wanted all those kids I had to have the same shot everybody else had. I would make snide remarks about recruiting, and it goes on. But I remember Mr. Giles had a conversation. And I said, I can't do anything about that. All I can control is what I do. And if South Charleston has 4-ply toilet paper, then we better make sure we got 5. That's all
right.
I can control. I agree. I think you should be able to go anywhere you want to in 9th grade. If you think that, I used to tell kids all the time, if you take your kid and he's quarterback someplace else, you ought to call CPS. That's not bringing him to Capitol, because I'll turn him loose. I think you ought to have that choice. But just speaking about my community, when I got that job, I moved to Charleston. I left a place where I could walk out my door and ride my side-by-side. Now I got to ride through the city of Charleston to get it up there and outrun the cops. But I thought, if I'm going to sell a Cadillac, I better drive one. So my kids are going to go there. And the most disheartening thing when you get to Capitol is your job is I got to walk over there and convince Hollis Lewis's dad that you can make it from Capitol High School. Please don't leave your community. Even though I know you got a choice and it's America, you should have that choice. But now I got to convince people, that it's okay to be there. Because no matter what you say, and I used to tell those kids, when they talk about Capitol High School, they're not talking about the coach. Important as I think I am, if I ain't there Friday night, they're going to play football. If I ain't at work on Monday, all the teachers they're going to have subs. They'll have a principal. Capitol High School is your kids. So that's what you're talking about. Do you think GW or South Charleston has a better curriculum than Capitol High School? Not true. Capitol had more AP classes than anybody in the county when Mr. Giles left.
When what you're speaking of is a shift to the relevance of sports than the reality of any form of success or opportunity, maybe. So in your vision, you felt that your kids did not get the opportunity or were not getting opportunities.
If you don't have the money that you make, there's no way. I know when people would, I know they would get on me, they would you don't go play 7-on-7. You don't do these things. You have to build a program. That was the big thing when I got to Capitol. You don't have a program. And you get there, and I didn't. I bought the weight room at Capitol High School. I got a loan in the middle of adoption process. I bought the, I bought the outbuilding. I bought the washer and the dryer. It was no fundraising. I couldn't count the money that we had to, just for little things that everybody has the opportunity to. And when I talk about racism, I know most people go, nobody wants to hear that, especially some white boy from Cabin Creek. I thought racism was, when I first got that job, I thought, damn, I'm going to have to go to places and, I'm going to go down south and they're going to have them rebel flags. And that doesn't happen. You know, I mean, that's not racism. I mean, that doesn't happen. You know, I traveled with a bunch of big guys, you know, so that didn't happen. But it was, and I didn't even know systemic was a word. But you start looking at it and you think, well, oh man, how come these schools don't have access to the revenue they make? Because like everybody else does. And it crushed me. You know, I mean, like, I was so naive that I didn't think that, you know, I thought when that girl didn't give her seat up on that bus in Alabama that everybody had a fair shot.
Everything is fixed. We fixed it all.
Yeah,
right.
and the disheartening thing is you'd be shocked how many people I'm related to that if I called and said, hey, you know, this old white boy from Logan's there to go kick my butt here in a minute, they'd be here in a minute. But now when they ask me, why ain't you coaching? No, and that's the only thing I ever like to do. When I tell them, well, because I spoke on how my kids are treated, I don't hear it. You know, I'm not interested in that. But it drove me nuts to be there and thinking, it didn't drive me nuts. I lied to you. I enjoyed going to people's houses. I enjoyed talking to people. I enjoyed the fact of, you know, I used to be my sales pitch. Is a football championship important to you? You know, what three things are important to you? A chance to get a scholarship. You know, I always tell them it's all about ships. It's about championships, friendships, and scholarships. Okay. There's no better place than Capital High School. You know what I mean? Do your research. I mean, if you wanted a kid, I mean, Capital's the best. If it's a proven fact, numbers don't lie. If that community sticks together.
And see, that's an interesting take because there are a lot of places who don't teach that. They don't push that. And I'll make the case too that you weren't an easy coach. I'm going to make the case that some folks may say that you were a tough coach. Am I right?
Probably not. I think I told you. No, I think I don't know. My wife sent me one of those things about one of those pictures. Beth Martin, the lady I worked with, she sends me these things all the time. And it was one about how loosey. I think the guy said I was loosey goosey and said I used ignorance as a ruse or something. I said I don't even know what a ruse is. I said no. I think no. I was no. I treated him. The first thing I don't care where you are. If you have that many black kids, the first knock on you is he's not disciplined. He has no discipline. You know, that's just a fact.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
And that was hard for me to take. You know, and it didn't come until we got successful, and it was hard. You know, when we got good and we come out there, it was like, man, I became an enemy real quick. You know what I mean?
How long did it take? How long did it take for you to get to that win?
2013, when I had that first full class of kids to come through there, and it was, you know, it's, you know, I'm buddy with everybody, and it's like, okay. You ever watch Remember the Titans? Mm-hmm. You know the part where the white coach is there and he knows his kid's getting cheated, and he knows if he speaks out, he's not in the Hall of Fame. Remember that part? Mm-hmm. That's the way I felt, you know, like that. I was like, oh man, you know, if you speak out, you know. And I told you this. Mr. Giles told me he called me one time and he said, you know, he said your problem is you're like Japan, and I was like, I don't even eat Japanese food. What the hell are you talking about? And he said, your problem is he said, you think you got to fight everybody that comes here. And I said, Mr. Giles, I ain't never been in a fight. Didn't have to do with those kids I coach.
Let me ask you this. As far as I want to ask a specific question about the revenue model that Lately Field proposed to Capitol High football.
Enforced, not proposed.
We'll say enforced. I like that word better. When you question them about, okay, you made X amount of profit in X amount of years specifically off our football games, our success, our playoffs, and everything like that, and you said you're only getting 20%, correct? Is that
no, they took about 65% of what you made.
So they took 65%. Yeah. What was the justification? What are they using that money for specifically?
Pay the bills. They said they had to pay the bills at Lately Field.
Okay. So in that paying the bill, in that revenue sharing model, in that enforcement, was there any room to negotiate? Could have you gone to the table and say, hey, you're getting 65, well, why don't we do 50-50, or why don't we do 70? I mean, there was no room. I'm just asking. I don't know.
I know. The first time it happens.
Because to me, that's the biggest crime in all this.
Oh, yeah.
We're not getting properly funded. Then
You need Clinton Giles on here.
Yeah.
No, there's no, they don't tell you nothing. You just, it's what.
Well, the other issue too is the availability of funds to other schools, whether it be boosters and that kind of stuff.
But your boosters is your concession stand.
Right.
Is your signs you sell.
That's the concession.
Yes.
So you didn't get a piece of the signs? Like you didn't get 100% of that
No.
money? So was there ever a path for like the city or county to step in to help offset some of those?
Let me answer this as a question. Do you know the city of Charleston just turfed every soccer and baseball field in the city of Charleston?
Yeah, rec centers.
Which one did they not? Which one did they? Don't you speak up. That's the only time I've disagreed with Woody. What's the only field they didn't turf?
As of yet, they haven't turfed North Charleston, which I believe.
You believe what you saw on Twitter?
No, I believe. I believe.
Woody owes me $500. They're not going to do
it. Councilman Moore is working on that.
Oh, I believe in Larry Moore. I love
He's
Larry
working
Moore.
on that.
Larry Moore is one of the best men I've ever met.
But does it take him?
It's not
Does it
gonna
take
happen.
him to do it? Does it take him to say, "Oh,
he's our representative"? So
I understand that, but
here's what a representative told me. So I get it. I know. I say, here's what a representative told me. He said, well, we had a meeting that everybody showed up, and he said, we didn't know they wanted turf. And I said, okay, were those guys too dumb to ask or too lazy to ask?
And
of course
this
they
before
wanted.
Larry. This before
Yeah,
Larry.
Larry Moore is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love him.
This
Larry
before-
Moore.
Shout out, bro.
Yeah.
This before Larry Moore was the councilman of that ward.
Okay,
But,
before.
it was
Gotcha.
before Larry.
Gotcha.
No, they don't tell you nothing, and that's the way it is. I called Woody about 500 times over that one. No, and I'm telling you, like I said, everybody's got a sad story, but I've been through the thing about family divorce. I've been poor. I've been faced with not having kids, all that, and the hardest thing I've ever dealt with has been treated black, no doubt. I mean, I didn't, you didn't see me in a bar at 18 years old. I was drawing plays, that's all I ever want to do is coach football. And I get there, and it's like, I always equate it to Miami. Show that Miami video. You know why Miami don't ever have a coach that stays there 20 years?
No, is it?
Because you get what's the first thing you talk about? It's just like Capital High School.
Oh yeah, the reputation.
The undisciplined stuff. You know what I mean, like that. So they'll go and win and get out. I could have done that. I had a pretty good resume. I could have got out at one point, but I couldn't go in there and tell those kids like that bought into what the bull crap I was selling. They believed in themselves. All I ever sold them was never told them me. That's my. The numbers say if that community sticks together, you can win more championships. You can get more scholarships. The academics is good there. Everything's good there.
Because if you win, if you're the winning team, if your team is number one team, number two team all the time, where are you going to go? Mm-hmm. Where's that college coach going to come to? We never turned anybody in for recruiting. If you want to go, I don't want those kids. If they don't want to be there, you don't want them there. Right. I had a couple kids come. I think you ought to be able to go where you went to in ninth grade. My thing was. But nothing after ninth grade.
No, I mean, unless you move then, you know what I mean? I think, but that's what I disagree with that. Now you got 4 daughters, there ain't no daggone way you're gonna let somebody play at 3 different high schools date your daughter. Because if I'm telling you now, because you think the worst thing is you're not playing quarterback, well, wait till you gotta get up and change them diapers. Wait till that girl ain't kissing you on the neck no more. That's when life gets tough.
Yeah, that do get tough. Right
hell yeah. Now those guys like that. That's what I want them to do. Put that on Facebook in 15 years. Your kid has played 4 different high schools when you're raising their grandkids, because that same mom that's bragging about their kid that's transferring now, you'll be raising them grandkids. You're not cut out for it.
So let's kind of go back to you, like coaching.
Oh, there's no bad.
It has to be.
No,
bad.
come on, man. It's like
let me ask this question. Do you want to? Would you like to?
It's like asking me if I'd like to date Farrah Fawcett. What do you think the answer is?
Okay.
I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it bothers me. You'd be shocked how many people just act like I chose to go fishing. You know what I mean? I didn't quit because it was all in the paper. Go look it up. It was all in the paper. One of the hardest things, and nobody came. Nobody coming. You know what I mean? The city ain't doing anything. Everybody's all goldfish and black medallions come election time, but ain't nobody over there when the bullets are flying. I was there 10 years, and we were. Woody, I don't know. Pretty successful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? However you judge
I wouldn't call it
football.
pretty. I'd say pretty successful. Quite a
You know,
bit successful.
And then after I didn't run my mouth until. Let me tell you this. So the year they passed this rule that you have to shake hands. You remember this when GW?
2014.
GW. No, it was before that. GW and Hurricane didn't shake hands one year, and my problem has always been. Mr. Giles used to tell me all the time that my problem was I was too stupid to play any other role besides Jon Carpenter. He had an eloquent way to say it, but I not like that. He didn't sound stupid. But so they called me one time, and this is how I know the stuff about Lady Field, is they call me and they say, what do you think about this rule about shaking hands? Well, I took it as, your thug's going to shake hands. And I said, man, we shake hands. What are you talking about? And I said, I'm getting in trouble. But I told him, oh, I know who you're talking about. I said, I hope nobody hits them hard next year. We'll be playing two-hand touch. Funny, right? I go home and tell Mr. Giles, I tell him, and he says, you better call this person. This person comes and tries to help. We're going to build your field. We're going to do all that. And, didn't happen. And they found Mr. Giles said, great, but you're not, and he brings out the thing. Nobody ever came back. When I was first there, well, what do you tell you this? We didn't get out of school till, we didn't get out of school till 3. We can't get on practice field till 4:30. You remember, Woody, the time they wrote me up for feeding them peanut butter sandwiches?
Yes, sir.
I remember that.
Got written up for that. There's been 3 bond levies passed. Do the research. There's been 3, because I know some people will be online. There's been 3 bond levies passed. The bond levy to put auxiliary gyms at every school, right? Mm-hmm. South Charleston got one, correct?
Yep.
Capital got nothing out of that one. The bond levy where you got new lights and bleachers, right?
Yeah.
Y'all got all that, right? That's how GW pulled out. GW didn't like somebody wrote them a check. Kanawha County went over and built that. They built it everywhere. Lately Field, Capital got nothing out of that. That's the same year they signed the deal where they gave UC bought the turf and they pimped out the Lately Field, to them. Capital got nothing out of that bond levy. The last one, the one that got me really in trouble, was the one where they put turf on everybody's field. Capital got nothing out of that. So, I try to play the game. We get everybody together. And,
no, you definitely not trying to play the game.
But there is no game. That's what I tell everybody all the time, and it really bothers me. It really bothers me, and it's not very much, but it really bothers me for a young black guy to say, well, you got to learn how to play the game. How many black guys that get ahead? Well, my wife told me one time, she said, that's great, but Mr. Giles is the only person in your corner. He ain't got no job. And now here I don't have one.
I want to send y'all this contract that you might not have seen. Mr. Giles gave me the contract between Kanawha County Schools and the University of Charleston. You've been to law school. You would throw up.
Oh.
No, I've seen that.
You've seen the real contract?
I've seen it.
The turf field.
I've seen portions of it.
I got the whole contract. You would throw up. You will literally say, who the heck signed this and why?
And that's what bothers me about all these things that these people and the bad part is there's a lot of people that I see on your Facebook page that do care.
Yeah,
but they're only invested a short time, and then you got to keep explaining this thing about Lately Field. I had to explain it every day. Somebody's like, well, man, you ought to go up there and build your own field. Oh yeah, you can't. You're going to play there. That's just a fact. That's just the way it is. Only thing I wanted at the end, I said, they put the field they end up turfing the field at Capitol.
Yeah.
That didn't come out of the bond levy money.
That wasn't in the original contract.
No, that didn't. That check your bond call or levy call. That's not. They didn't pay that out of that. They turfed the field. I wasn't allowed to have walkthroughs. True or false, Woody?
True. No football lines on the field.
They got them.
Oh, they put them out.
Okay. No, they got them.
And let's just make the case that, there's nothing that you can say that can make that right. They're just, there's no justification for it. It's
just
clear.
the way it is.
It is what it is.
I tell you this, there's two. I'm just telling you.
Yeah. I think it's something we could do, but it's going to take a monumental effort. I think that we can't have one person doing it. We can't have one coach doing it.
No, you got.
But here's the thing, and like I said, we got to get ready to get out of here. But one coach put that on his back, and now he's been kicked.
Yeah. Now he's on his butt.
And It's more important. I'd make the case that we're talking about coaching. We're talking about all these people who are out there coaching, and we've got a coach who has been successful, unable to coach, and not only not able to coach, but not able to coach the kids that he chose to coach, which just happened to be Cap.
Yeah.
When I got to Capital, everybody in Kanawha County, aside from maybe not Hoover, had been to the state championship game since Capital had been. South Charleston, St. Albans, GW, Riverside, Nitro. I know all those guys. And you get there and it's like, why? To go there, you go in that locker room and see kids with no hope.
Right, and you got to show pride. Like you got to provide them things to make them feel. And you're talking
about
uniforms, helmets, all of that kind of stuff.
My cousin bought it. My cousin bought it, and there's a secretary at the school. Her mom bought one set of jerseys. You remember that we went to South Charleston? We had silver jerseys for 3 games. I know
how that works from West Virginia State.
That's huge.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you what. There's a lot of cases like this, like demoralizing. I mean, it should be good. It should be a feather in your hat. But I remember I'll probably cry telling it. We pull out those jerseys one time down there, and those kids are hugging them. You know what I mean?
You
see, damn, it's a jersey. You know what I mean? But they act like, to see that, and then to see that, and everybody should have that opportunity. But just keep the money you make, and we're good.
Right.
My daughter coaches. My daughter's a cheerleader horseman. Right.
Yeah.
The first day of cheerleading practice, my daughter quit. I mean, she cheers out there, but she don't want to do it anymore because, and that's why I told her, my daughters are black, and I told her, I said, look, there's going to be a disservice to you here if you grow up in my white world. That with concession stand money. Well, my daughter had to go buy tablecloths to cut up to make their own pom-poms. That's what happened at Horseman 2 years ago. Now, my daughter loved cheerleading, but you go over there and you get my God. I went to see I told you this the other day, I went to Montana and these people were talking about how bad they hate Indians. I tell you this, how bad they hate Indians, and they get everything. The government gives them everything. Same way people talk about black people when you're out here, you get outside of Charleston, they get everything. They got these King Center and they got these things like this. And we go over there to the Indian reservation. It's on the side of the damn mountain. There's 2,000 miles of farmland that way, and these Indians are stuck on the side of a daggone cliff. You can't farm it. You can't do nothing. Yeah, it's free, but who in the hell wants it? And that's why being a capital was. Two of the black guys that coached with me, let me finish with this one. I quit. It was a mercy killing because they were after me so bad that, we missed 40-some days of practice. It's documented. Look in the newspaper. It's in there. We played South Charleston that year on 2 days practice. Everybody else practiced about 10. Yeah. And that's when I made my mind up. I said, but I told 2 of the guys over there, and I said, damn, here I am running around hollering, cussing, screaming every day. And I said, you guys just take it. Joking. And one of them looked at me and he said, Carp, I've been black my whole life. That's the way it is. And I said, I was like, time for me to go. I can't.
All right, Coach, we appreciate your time. And ladies and gentlemen, hope you enjoy it. We'll be back again soon.
The opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of WVRC Media, its management, employees, or sponsors. Contact Carl Lee on email, letstalkcarllee@gmail.com, or text 409-422-7539.